So yes, this is Kal Kat's the Kal Katster, and this is a review of episode 2 of Star Trek Picard season 3, Disengage. Um, yeah, yeah. They have to get off the what is it? The Mariposa, the ship, the butterfly, the ship, and which in Spanish means gay guy. But the gay guy. Look at the ship. They have to get off the ship. It's slang. And the shuttle gets destroyed and they're trapped there and they have to... That was in the preview. What if the ship... the Trek attempts to use transporters to beam in. They do a transporter lock thing. Cat and mouse. They have to turn the transporter lock off so that they can be rescued by the Titan with the transporters, which is less like Wrath of Khan and more like Star Trek 6. And they've done that on Next Generation quite a few times, so it's not exactly, it's sort of, it's very dark in these stories, I noticed, that they don't turn the lights up. It's kind of odd. They rescue the four of them. We find out in a flashback that Jack Crusher is he's a sort of a gun runner kind of guy or bounty hunter guy, and this Narek, the Sillian lady, who is clearly a Sillian from Starship Locations. That's what she is. She's a Sillian. She even laughs like one. She is basically the Elysian, or probably a person associated with the Elysian, if not the Elysian herself. So she shows up and she's like, ha ha. So they made it look like in the previews that she's sort of a con thing, and that there was. They go back to the ship. They do some flashbacks. They have to this scene where Raffi's trying to get her handler to come rescue her. So she ends up meeting with her son, I guess, who wants to go to the planet, or her connection. That's her son, who was annoyed that he went to see her granddaughter. She went to see her granddaughter, and she's Starfleet intelligence, but she's pretending to be in the drug. The drug preview thing showed that the Ferengi guy uses a drug truth serum thing. The Ferengi guy's name is Sneed, and that is a direct reference to Starship Locations in Chimera. Not only did they have to read the story, they would have had to read the story books. It wouldn't be that hard to find out who Sneed is. Sneed is not a Ferengi in the location, though. She is the cat-like Temptress Borg Queen in our universe, in somewhere in space. She's the Borg Queen. But in this one, she's a Ferengi, but supposed to be the Borg Queen. She's named after somebody from Pine Hill on location. And also there was a Borg King called Roger. He was in there. Johnson. But yes, there's some names from Pine Hill. They were the Borg King and Queen only because they didn't like us being silly. So they became the Borg King. They became the Borg. This is a little before the Borg. This is like Season 1 of Silly Trek, which became Starship Locations many years later. So that's who Sneed should be as in a name. I'm thinking the Ferengi chose the name to strike fear into the hearts of others as the Borg Queen, but that's probably why. So he named himself after the Borg Queen of Sillian space, because he's a Sillian himself. Sillian Ferengi guy. And so we have... so we also have a slew of fairly obvious choices here. We know that she's going to get rescued from Sneed after getting the truth serum. We know what's going to happen. It's kind of in the trailer. And Worf shows up, and he's her handler, obviously. Yeah. So then we cut to Jack Crusher breaking himself out of the brig to go beam himself out, and we cut to Shaw realizing. Shaw playing a Roger Johnson type character, actually. Shaw being the captain guy. Also playing a little bit of like a mirror version of Scott Boyd from the games. But not technically. He's sort of doing a spoof. He's sort of a Henderson-y spoof Starcracker's the kind of guy. Anyway, so continuing with the review, the guy escapes from the brig, but then he's going to surrender himself. But then Picard, Riker brings Dr. Crusher up from sickbay, even though she's a mess, and Picard realizes he's his son, even though that doesn't work. The actor playing him, yeah, some of the especially Angry Joe Ransom was complaining, obviously about season 3. They kept flagging his videos. Well, I don't use any footage from my videos, so nobody flags me. But yeah, I don't mind what they're doing, because in season 2, episode 2, they set it up like Wrath of Khan, but it isn't Wrath of Khan. Not really. Not the way they set up part 2. They kind of made it seem more like a cat and mouse thing, that the bounty hunter lady's not on a level with Khan. She's a Sillian. She might have Sillian Q-like powers, but judging by what she's been doing, I'd say she doesn't, and she wants to get them. and there was an amusing scene when they a messed up scene on that, very similar to I don't think they're in the mirror universe, but there was a funny scene on the Raffi on the planet. She's rescued by Worf, and he chops off the Ferengi guy's head, and the Ferengi guy has her contact's head as well, so he chopped off her head. The Ferengi guy chopped off the head. He's basically playing the sword guy from the other series, the sword kid that was annoying in the previous 2 seasons, and didn't get to do much in season 2. They said he was supposedly dead, I guess, and then they brought him back or something. If you take these stories as a glorified Star Trek fanfic where they happen to use the TNG cast, it's fine. As a glorified Star Trek fanfic actually using the cast, it's like, okay, they got the actual cast to be in their fan film. If you treat it that way, then it's like, oh, all right, then yeah, sure. It's a very, very elaborate fan film. But yes, stay tuned for more fun in Star Trek Picard season 2. The son doesn't work. The actor playing him is in his mid-30s, which means that the only way that works at all is right about when Dr. Crusher left the Enterprise for a year. That would have been when he was born, about 35 years ago, so during season 2, when she wasn't on the Enterprise. But it's weird that she wouldn't mention Wesley's stepbrother at any point at all before then. Maybe they aged him up or something, and he's actually from 20 years ago. But clearly, if he was only like 19 or 20, they would be treating him differently. And yeah, it is odd that he has a British accent. Why would he? You don't inherit the accents you learn from being in another place. That makes no sense. So I have to explain that. Did he just learn to talk British? They hang out in a British colony or something? And then Picard's supposed to be French, but he's a Brit. Sir Patrick Stewart. And he pulls rank at the end to escape from the Shrike, and it's like, why didn't you do that to begin with? Well, then it would be over, but yeah, I guess he wanted his mojo back when he saw Beverly again or something. There's a few scenes that are weird, but I've always considered these newer shows, Discovery included, and the 2009 movies included, as fanfic, but they get to do Star Trek. They get to play Star Trek. So I give them a pass for being not quite what we remember based on where we've been. So, anyway, so there's my review.